Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a quick kind of everyday Christmas themed or holiday themed makeup look. And to me, that means a red lip of some kind. So the rest of my makeup, I'm going to pare it down, keep it simple. I'm paring down the number of tools that I'm using. Now, some of you will still think this is too hard. It's not easy. I promise you it is easy. If you're a beginner at makeup, you can do this. It might take you a couple of tries to kind of get your steps down pat and get them done quicker. But I promise you everything I'm doing today, there's nothing complicated. We're not creating a pie crust from scratch. We're not creating a souffle here. We're just doing simple makeup steps. If you're new here, be sure you hit that subscribe button, and now let's get started. The first step is going to be eyeshadow primer, and today I'm going to use the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. I kind of wanted a little bit of coverage and priming all in one step. This is not the longest wearing primer for me personally. The original version of this is, but this tinted version, if you don't have super oily eyelids, this will last great. If you have super oily eyelids, like I do, it'll probably last you most of the day, but you might start having a little bit of smudging. Just be careful not to get too much product. All right, now while that sets, we're gonna go in with foundation. And I have been enjoying a mixture of two. So I like the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue for the added SPF benefits and longevity of wear. And then I've been mixing it with the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better. Use whatever foundation you have on hand, but go with something that has a little more coverage. Many times, kind of quick and easy makeup, we think it needs to be just a tinted moisturizer or something like that. But if you're doing a red lip, you've heard me say this before, you really want to even out your skin tone and make sure you don't have any redness coming through. Now, if you naturally don't have a lot of redness on your face, then go for something lighter. But if, like me, you have a lot of red surface tones, you want to pick a little higher coverage foundation. Now, I'm gonna go in with this BK Beauty travel set of brushes. They were so kind to send this to me, but I have not yet dove into these and used these. So these are travel size versions of their best-selling brushes. They're just shorter handles. So the 101 brush, which you know is one of my top favorite brushes, I'm going to use this to quickly work that foundation combination into my skin. And with this brush, I think it works best in downward kind of pressing motions. So it's kind of like you're painting it on and then kind of pressing it into the skin. All right, while I let that foundation just kind of sink in and settle into my skin, I'm gonna go to the eyes, but I did want to quickly mention I have already prepped my lips. I use the Mary Kay Satin Lips treatment. You can use any lip scrub you have. Make sure you do this kind of regularly when you're wearing red lipstick because it draws that extra attention to your lips. You really want a good smooth base. And side note, yes, I know Mary Kay still makes satin lips, but it's not the original formula. So some of you have said, oh, they still make satin lips. They do, but they changed it. And I don't like the other formula. The original is still the best, in my opinion. Now let's go to the eyes. I'm going to keep this really simple, I promise. I'm going to try to just use two brushes. So I'm gonna try this T202 brush from BK Beauty. It's the travel size version. It's slightly fluffy, so that's kind of what I want. I think this is a good all-around brush. And I'm gonna use this new bite-size palette from e.l.f. I cannot read what the name of it is, so I'll put it in the description box, but it is just 4 matte shades. So I'm gonna start off with this cream shade and just going to put this quickly under the brow bone. This helps set the primer, and it also helps just provide a little bit of brightness there. And then I'm also going to work a little bit of this onto my actual lid here. and into the inner corner. Okay, then I'm going to just brush that brush off on my tissue on my desk, and we're gonna go in, I'm gonna use this shade. It's the slightly cooler tone versus this one. Normally I would go with the warm one, but I'm gonna go in with this cool shade. I'm gonna tap off. These seem to be nice and soft, but not overly powdery. I'm gonna put that right through the crease. And I'm just swirling my brush in the outer corner and then bringing what's left on the brush through the crease and then going back and forth to blend. And you just want to keep doing that process, dip, tap, and starting in the corner, and then just with swirling motions bringing through the crease. All right, now I'm going to go in with liner and then set it with shadow and smudge it all at once. So the liner I've chosen is the Pixie Endless Silky Eye Pen. This is, in my opinion, one of the easiest to smudge out, but then it will set and stay, especially if you top it with a little bit of powder. So I'm using the shade Black Cocoa, and I am going to start halfway across the lid. I'm placing the pencil actually in the roots of my lashes and literally just dragging it across. This pencil, you do not have to work hard at all. It is soft and very pigmented. So I love that it doesn't tug on your delicate eye area at all. And I am actually going to stop before I get to the very most outer part, and I'm going to just kind of pull this up just a tiny little bit and then draw back towards the lash line there, okay? And then I am going to just really just place this actually into my lash line here. So it doesn't have to be a straight line because we're going to smudge it out, but you can see by using those lashes, kind of, it keeps you from kind of going up too high. So you can barely see the line right here, but it has darkened my lash line, made my lashes look thicker. And then I'm gonna go in with hopefully my second and last eye brush today. This is the BK Beauty 207, Travel 207 brush. It is just a kind of bullet brush, and I'm going to go in with the darkest shade in that little palette and tap off the extra. And now I'm just going to go right over that line with the brush, and I'm working towards the center because I don't want to drag that color out beyond my eye. And then I'm going to work my way towards the center. And then as I get closer in, there should be less left on the brush. Okay, and so I will work here. So I didn't take it all the way to the inner corner yet. So, and then I'm just going to take that brush and work a little bit of that darker color, just a little bit here in the outer corner, very outer edge here. And I am just pressing that brush in. I am not doing anything fancy, just kind of sweeping the brush towards the center. All right, and then I'm gonna pick up this other brush here, and I'm going to actually go back with a little bit of this cream shade and use that here on the inner part just to soften and diffuse that shadow slightly. And then I'll go back with a little bit of our crease color and just make sure that outer corner is nice and soft. Easy, right? Yes. Now you can see the difference if I don't smudge it out, what it looks like versus smudged. So it's just a matter of preference. If you like it more defined like this, you could definitely leave it like that. But I just like the softer look, especially kind of for a daytime kind of look. And I just find that this helps me feel less pressure to have perfect liner. So if you struggle with liner, a smudged edge is kind of the best way to disguise that. And then I always like to take my pencil along the lower lash line and just smudge a tiny little bit right here in the outer corner. But I'm going to really just keep this kind of in the outer third of the eye here. And then I just cleaned off that pencil brush there, and I'm gonna go back with a tiny little bit of our crease color. And because I have contacts, I'm just going to press a little bit of this below that eyeliner. Okay, let's clean up under the eyes. I'm going to use a little bit of almond oil. If you saw my concealer video, you'll know all about this important step. But if you haven't seen that, I'll link it down below. But this not only adds a little bit of moisture, but it does clean up that fallout. So that's why I haven't applied my concealer yet. Now I'm applying a little bit of the NARS Radiant Creamy Color Corrector in light, just in these dark corners here. I don't know about you, but at this time of year with all that's going on, I seem to not work too much extra sleep into my schedule. So those dark circles need a little extra love here. And then for my actual concealer, I'm going to use the one from Beauty Blender. It's the Bounce Airbrush Liquid Whip Concealer in 2.3W, and it's light golden. So I am going to just put a dot of this on my finger. This is a good one to use if you don't want to bring in an extra brush. This one actually applies really well with your fingers. So just a tiny amount, and then I'm going to just tap this under the eyes and really pressing it into the inner corner, and then staying away from my lines as much as possible. I'm just going to take my foundation brush and tap it in. That foundation has kind of set nicely. Okay, today's powder is actually a new one I've never tried before. I know, experimenting on a day when it's supposed to be quick, right? But let's just give it a shot. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Loose Setting Powder, and I'm going to use the other face brush. So I'm starting off first with my powder. This is the BK Beauty 107 T107, and you can see this has a mesh strainer. It seems to be pretty much just translucent powder. So I'm just gonna press that onto one side of the brush, and I'm gonna start right here in my T-zone. Because this is a smaller brush, you're not gonna, just quickly move through. So this would be probably a step where I would bring in a bigger brush. But if you're traveling, we're gonna prove that you can do it all with just two brushes, right? We're gonna keep this easy. All right, and then I'm going to just lightly work a tiny little bit of that right here under the eyes. What's left, no new powder. So I'm not sure how drying this is going to be. We need a little bit of contour. So I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Film Star Bronze and Glow. And I was hesitant to use this, but now it's available in a mini size. So you don't have to invest so much money, but this is just, in my opinion, one of the best contour and bronze products. So I'm going to use that same brush, press it in there, and I'm going to now just do a tiny little bit of contour. So I'm using kind of, because that brush has a little bit of, it kind of comes to a point there in the center. It's really nice to fit right into the hollows of the cheek, and then just blend up towards the hairline and up on the top of the cheeks. I believe this also comes now in a deeper shade, so there are two options, but this is my favorite shade, kind of contour shade to use in the winter. It isn't necessarily flat matte, but it doesn't have any shimmer, so you can use it to contour like I'm doing, and then we'll use it also as our bronzer. So this just brings a little bit of life and shape back to our face. Take care of a little of that extra fluff that I seem to get around the holidays, all those cookies and goodies that we eat, right? Okay, and then I'm going to just pinch this brush, dip the tip, and just kind of give myself a little bit of color down the side of the nose and then just work it in. Okay, let's go to brows. Quickest brow fill in for me is the IT Cosmetics Universal Brow Pencil. And this is just the original one, which has kind of that flat tip. They now have a skinny tip and they have a bigger tip. And this is just universal taupe. Again, now they've come out with multiple colors, but I feel like this one matches pretty well no matter what shade my hair is. Now that my hair is a little darker, some of you saw my salon visit, you will know how I got a little darker hair, a more even tone. I do feel like defined brows make me feel a little more polished and kind of put together here, so. All right, I'm not even going to set my brows. We're keeping this real easy for you. I'm going to now just tap off all of that excess moisture. Really important to do, especially if you're doing a red lip. Now I'm using the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and I'm going to just put this right around the edge of the lips. And I'm really pressing that in. I'm kind of stretching my lip out, making sure I get that in all of those crevices. If you don't know why I do this, again, I'll link that video down below. But all right, as you can see, I am curling my lashes. I'm going to let that MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot just kind of set on the lips, and we're going to go ahead and do mascara. Now, I am only going to use one mascara product. I know, shock of all. I'm gonna use the Milani Highly Rated Mascara. I haven't used this in a long time. I have a brand new tube of it, but I remembered that as long as I did the trick where you pull a tissue under your lower lashes before it dries, I didn't have any issues with smudging. So I'm going to try to just use this all by itself. It does have some really good volumizing properties as well. So I think I can skip my mascara primer today. Trying to keep things simple here. All right, so as I am looking at myself, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I need some color. And that's what we're going to add next. So let's go ahead and add our color at our lips first before blush. So I'm using the BK Beauty Everlast Lip Liner in the shade Alter Ego. I have been wearing this nonstop probably for the last 2 weeks. I've had lots of Christmas programs and just various things, and I love this shade and the formulation. And I am going to go ahead and fill in most of my lip with that pencil and really press it in. All right, so while that kind of sits and sinks into my lips, I want to talk quickly about how you choose the perfect red lipstick for you. Now, most of us gravitate towards one tone of red over the other, and it may or may not be one that matches your skin's undertone, but most of the time, the reds that we gravitate towards have a similar undertone to our skin. So what I mean by that is you can see here, I've got 3 swatches of reds. But you can see the one that sticks out quite a lot from the other 2, and that's this one. You can see that it has quite a lot of orange because it's a warm red. Most people freak out about that color and think, oh no, that's not the red I want. But I have actually been surprised myself. I've been wearing this color over the top of this lip liner. Now, by doing that, it kind of neutralizes it a little bit and makes it more of a neutral red. These other 2 have more blue in them, and so they have much more cool tones. So if you're a cool skin undertone, you're probably going to enjoy these kinds of reds a little bit more. But this lip liner, you can see it looks more of a blue-based red on me, which it totally works, but I kind of want to warm it up a little bit. So I'm going to use this lipstick on top of it, which is MAC's Ladybug. I've had this, I think I got it free somewhere, and all of a sudden I started pairing it with this lip liner, and I'm like, that's my perfect red. So let me show you. So this combination is what I would say is a little more of a neutral red, and it's just perfect for me. But now we can look at the skin and we say, we need just a little bit of color on the cheeks. So one of my favorites to use with a red lipstick is this one by Thrive, and it is the Multi-Dimensional Strobing Blush in Angelina. And you can see, because I have that kind of warmer red tone, it just pulls in enough of that warmth, and yet it's not overpowering. So the key is we don't want to add too much blush to our cheeks, but we need enough to where it's not just wha-bam red lip and nothing else. So I'm just going to work this in. I'm using that 107 brush, and you have to be careful. This brush is a little more dense, so just be careful how much blush you pick up on your brush. But I'm going to now just kind of gently brush that up at the top. Look how pretty that is. So a little bit of blush, no blush, and you can see this just kind of evens out the face just a little bit. And then I'm going to wipe off that brush really well on a tissue and go back now with our highlighter. So I like to do this last because it can kind of tone down the blush or just kind of help bring everything together. So I'm just going to use this on the tops of the cheeks here and the bridge of the nose. And then I am actually going to now take my finger and use a little bit of that on the inner corner and bring a little bit of this now onto our lid. So it's not going to add a ton of shimmer, but just a little bit of kind of more of a pearly finish. And you can see how that just brightened up the eyes. So I love a nice bright inner corner and lid, especially when wearing a red lip. Look at the difference. Isn't that amazing? All right, and then something you can do to help the longevity of wear of your red lip, or just to kind of tone it down, is just to blot your lips to remove any of the shine, and you can kind of just press off any excess and then kind of tap it in with your finger. And then just because I was trying out that new powder, it's just not quite enough of a matte finish that I need. So I'm just gonna go in. I have this is just a ColourPop powder puff, and I have a little bit of my Becca Hydra Mist setting powder on here. So this is not an extra step. This is just what happens when, you know, I'm experimenting with a new powder and the finish is just not quite enough of a matte finish for me. There we go. All right, so here's our finished look. And hopefully, as I went through that process using just 4 brushes total, hopefully you felt like this was a little bit easier to achieve. And yet the finished results, I feel very put together and not overdone. My husband and I are going with some friends to go look at Christmas lights tonight. We're not going to dinner or anything, so I just have a casual sweater on and jeans. But I feel like by adding that red lip, it just makes the whole look seem more festive. As always, all of the products that I used today and the brushes will be listed and linked in the description box below. I do have a couple more holiday looks coming up. We're going to be kind of increasing the glamorous component in each one. So be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on those. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.